Hey guys, you're in a nutshell with me, Ina. Okay, alam niyo yung biro ngayon? Sa hirap makakuha ng PR sa Canada, ang reliable na lang daw ang maaasahan na paraan para makamit ang PR ay ang, kung tawagin sa ating community, AFAM pathway. Siyempre, technically speaking, wala po talagang AFAM pathway, no? Yan lang ang madalas nating itawag dyan dahil it involves, obviously, getting married, sometimes to an AFAM, or a Filipino who is a Canadian citizen already or a PR who then would sponsor you to be a spouse. Okay, wala naman pong problema kung yan ay, batay sa isang tunay na pag-iibigan, isang genuine relationship. Okay, walang problema dyan. Sige, sponsor nyo sila. But of course, alam naman natin, marami po ngayon. Talamak ngayon daw ang marriage fraud. Okay? Talaga nagpapakasal. Nagbabayad ng libo-libo. Last I saw online, umaabot doon ng $40,000 ang binabayad. Ano? Grabe. Only to have PR, imagine. Anyway, so ang dami daw pong bigla ang nagpapakasal only to get PR. Okay, I would never encourage it, guys. No, syempre, alam mo namang i-encourage ko kayo dyan. Eh, kung kayo ay mahuli, mas magiging problemado pa kayo. Yung any future you might want to have in Canada, lalong magkakaproblema lang kayo dyan. At sa mga panahon ngayon, sasabihin ko sa inyo, daming mga pwedeng magsumbong. Kaya nako, mahirap talaga yan. Okay? Again, maghanap na lang kayo ng totoong magmamahal sa inyo at saka kanyo gawin yan. Diba? Anyway, dahil dyan, marriage fraud, ang dami nga daw biglang nagpapakasal. Ito na, lalong tumagal tuloy yung processing time. Diba? What can you expect? Dumami yung applications, and ang IRCC, syempre, mas naghihigpit ngayon dahil alam nila na yan ang plano ng ilan, makalusot. Diba? And later on, we will talk about a federal court ruling wherein nahuli yan ang isang case of marriage fraud. Okay, paano sila nahuli? In-interview yung mag-asawa, supposedly. At nadali sila dun sa mga sagot nila. Okay, they had different answers about parang living situation nila, basically. Mamaya, sige, pupuntahan natin yan. For now, puntahan natin tong processing time muna. Nasabi ko nga sa inyo, tuluyan ng nagtagal na, diba? Dati, 6 months or less. 3-4 months pa nga noon, no? Nakakarinig ako ng ganyang processing time for spousal sponsorship. Pero ngayon, kung halimbawa, ikaw ay mag-apply itong buwan ng November, tapos yung iyong partner ay wala pa dito sa Canada, for example, nasa labas ng Canada, mas maikli yata pag nasa labas pa ng Canada eh. Teka, lagay natin na outside Quebec. Ang processing time ay 12 months o 1 year. 1 year. Pero puntahan natin yung mga nandito na, yung isa-sponsor, no? Yung mga biglang nagpapakasal na lang dito. Kunyari nag-apply ka ngayong November. 19 months. So, a year and a half. Pero kung tutuusin, parang nabawasan pa nga to eh. Several months ago, I think umabot to ng 2 years. O, diba? People ahead of you, 49,900. Ganun karami. Diba? Ang nag-a-apply. Ay, nako. But anyway, guys, ayan. Sige lang. Kung yan ay tunay nagpag-ibig, go! Pero kung alam nyo na, marriage of convenience, matatanda na kayo, alam nyo kung ano ang risks involved dyan. Ngayon, puntahan natin tong isang federal court ruling. This was published September 2025. Tama ba? Ayan, tama. Ayan, September 9, 2025. Nahuli sila, sabi ko nga sa inyo, no? Teka, wala pa pala akong title. Yan. Okay, so, ang nangyari po, na-refuse na talaga ng IRCC yung kanyang application for PR via spousal sponsorship. Okay, at ngayon, kine-question niya sa korte. Okay? Through a judicial review. Ang applicant po ay isang Chinese citizen, Miss Ning Xiong. Dumating siya una daw sa Canada as a visitor noong 2018. Tapos nag-file siya ng asylum claim. Okay, nag-claim for, pero naging unsuccessful. Ayan She made an unsuccessful claim for refugee protection. After ma-deny ang kanyang refugee claim, nag-asawa. Miss Chong married Ellie Kong Sang-chu, a naturalized Canadian citizen. Tapos, so nagpakasal sila December 2019. Months later, May 2020, nag-apply na siya ng PR as a spouse. Okay, na-refuse ito in March 2023. Wow, ang tagal. Umabot ng 3 years. Bakit kaya? Nag-file din siya for what is called a pre-removal risk assessment. Ang alam ko dyan, you try to get that type of assessment because you are seeking protection para ikaw ay manatili rin dito at hindi ka pa uwi sa pinanggalingan mong bansa. Pero na-refuse din daw yun noong September 2023. O, eto na, no? So, the officer found that Miss Chong could not be considered Mr. Chu's spouse because the officer was not satisfied that their marital relation is genuine. Nadali po sila sa interview. Sige, puntahan natin ang mga discrepancy sa kanilang mga sagot. This will also give you an idea of what the questions are pagdating sa isang interview tungkol sa iyong spousal sponsorship application. Okay, ang main concerns daw ng officer, limited proof of cohabitation, limited proof of financial interdependence. Some answers to questions during the interview were different, such as how many bedrooms were in the new location kung saan sila nanirahan, when they moved to their house, who lived there with them, and how the sponsor got to his last medical appointment. See how parang random the questions can be. Tinanong, o kailan huling medical appointment ng asawa mo? O paano siya nagpunta doon? Doon, isa yun sa mga sinagot nila na hindi nagtugma ang kanilang answers. Okay. And take note, even if nagkaroon sila ng mga conflicting, contradicting answers, binigyan pa rin siya ng pagkakataon to explain. Ms. Chong was given an opportunity to provide additional information to address these issues. Yan. Okay? So, ito yung mga pinoint out na inconsistencies. The answers Ms. Chong and Mr. Chu gave to questions during the interview were mostly similar and would indicate a knowledge of each other. But there were major inconsistencies as well. Both of them claimed to reside together in an apartment in Toronto, but gave inconsistent accounts of the living arrangements. Okay? Sabi dito sa court ruling, while the officer does not elaborate on this decision, according to the notes during the interview, sabi daw ni Mr. Chu, nung lalaki, they moved to their current address in August or September 2023. Pero ang sabi daw nung babae, December 2023. Sabi daw nung lalaki, 3 ang bedrooms nila. Pero ang sabi nung babae, 2 bedrooms lang ang meron. Sabi nung lalaki, merong daw 2 students na nakatira with them, pero ang sabi nung babae, 1 lang ang nakatira. So talagang mapapaisip, no, si immigration officer. Alam nyo ba talaga ang nangyayari sa inyong supposed home? Okay, punta naman tayo sa cellular phone bills. Okay, nagbigay ng call logs. Yan. At una sa lahat, pinoint out, they do not share a phone plan. Okay. The officer found that the call logs do not demonstrate communication expected of a couple in a genuine relationship or that they are in each other's presence. Na-detect through the phone call records na kapag nagtatawagan sila, bakit daw laging nasa Aurora, Ontario yung misis? Isa yan sa mga natuklasan. Oh. Yung babae, yung call logs daw niya, indicate that she spends much time outside Toronto. Notably, ito pa, tinanong silang dalawa, nasaan kayo kahapon? Okay, the day before the interview. Sabi daw nung lalaki, they spent the day at home together. Okay, except when they went grocery shopping together. Oh. Ang sabi ng babae, According to the phone bill rather of the girl, nasa Aurora daw siya buong day. Bakit nasabi yun? Kasi natuklasan nila that the calls made by the girl on that day were made from Aurora, not in Toronto. Tignan nyo, pati yun natignan. Tapos, tinawagan pa daw si Mr. Chu nung gabi. Okay. So, hindi lang pala yung yung tawagan sa bawat isa. Saan ka nanggagaling nung tumatawag ka? To determine your physical location. Kasi dapat nga sinabi nyo, you are together in the same home eh. Okay. O, tapos ito, si Mr. Chu, yung lalaki, tinanong how he got to his most recent medical appointment. Ang sagot niya, mostly his wife drives him, but sometimes a friend takes him. On the other hand, nung tinanong daw yung babae, nagbus ang kanyang asawa papunta doon sa kanyang medical appointment. Okay. Nung pina-explain sa babae bakit parang hindi tugma yung sagot nila, ang paliwanag niya, I think this is from the PFL, yung Procedural Fairness Letter. Ang sabi daw niya, while she believed Mr. Chu had taken the bus, in fact, a friend pala daw had driven him. Okay, Miss Chong picked him up after the appointment. O, diba? Sabi nung officer, posible, sige, it's plausible, but there was no proof submitted to support the explanation. Okay, eto pa. Okay, may nakita din issue doon sa kanilang joint bank account. Nakita daw ni officer na parang hindi dependent si Mrs. sa kanyang asawa. Sabi dito, they did not establish financial interdependence. There was a significant amount of activity in the account which indicated financial means. Pero ang problema kasi, ang sinabi daw nung dalawa sa kanilang interview ay they did not have joint assets or go out because of their limited financial means. Napansin pa ni IRCC officer na si Miss Chong, yung bank account niya, yung joint bank account pala nila, ay ginawa sa Aurora. Okay, tinayo sa isang branch sa Aurora. And even if, again, they're supposed to be living in Toronto. Okay, so mukha talagang doon naninirahan yung babae sa Aurora. Another issue pointed out, they speak different languages. Mandarin yung isa Cantonese. Tapos ayun na nga, I think ito yung pinakamalaki ding, I think ito rin yung isang big factor. Yung immigration background ng babae already shows a strong motivation to stay in Canada. Kasi nga, nag-claim siya ng refugee, di ba? Tapos na-deny. So that gives the IRCC officer an idea na gusto talaga nitong magstay dito. Yun. Si Judge, actually, meron siyang pinoint out na mga pagkakamali dun sa desisyon ni IRCC officer. Nonetheless, naniniwala rin si Judge. Okay, sinabi niyang tama naman yung indecision ni IRCC officer na hindi na-establish nung dalawa na ang kanilang pagsasama ay genuine. Okay, so ayun. While the decision is far from perfect, read as a whole and in light of the record, it reasonably supports the ultimate findings that Ms. Chong had not established that she lives with Mr. Chu or that the two of them are in a genuine marriage. So, ayun, application is dismissed. I wonder ano na nangyari dito sa babae kasi nandito na siya sa loob ng Canada, no? We do not know if that triggered deportation proceeding against her. That I do not know. But anyway, ayan so nalaman ninyo, nakita niyo kung gaano ka-meticulous ang ilang officers sa pag-assess ng isang spousal sponsorship application. Okay, so let me know what you guys think. I will end this episode here. See you guys in the next one. Bye!